يا رب لنا الخلقا طهره فلا يحوي نزقا.
سأقبل يا خالقي من جديد كما أنت مني إلهي تريد، وأرجو إذا أنت تقبلني جنان الخلود ومنك المزيد، جنان الخلود ومنك المزيد. عصيتك ربي فأمهلتني وتسترني رغم أني عنيد، لأنك ربي غفور ودود رحيم بكل الورى والعبيد، رحيم بكل الورى والعبيد. سأقبل يا خالقي من جديد كما أنت مني إلهي تريد، وأرجو إذا أنت تقبلني جنان الخلود ومنك المزيد، جنان الخلود ومنك المزيد. أتيتك يا خالقي باكيا ودمع الأسى كل حين يزيد، فقد قلت في الآي لا تقنطوا وإن تعف عني فذا يوم عيد، وإن تعف عني فذا يوم عيد.
Guys, nih, kok pada enggak?
وبالقضاء وبالغنى أغنيت عبدا قد شكروا. إني عرفتك بالصفات العاليات وبالقدر وبالقضاء وبالغنى أغنيت عبدا قد شكروا. ما خاب من عرف الإله ولا إلى غيره افتقر. ما خاب من عرف الإله ولا إلى غيره افتقر. إني عرفتك بالصفات العاليات وبالقدر وبالقضاء وبالغنى أغنيت عبدا قد شكر. إني عرفتك بالصفات العاليات وبالقدر وبالقضاء وبالغنى أغنيت عبدا قد شكر. ما خاب من عرف الإله ولا إلى غيره افتقر. ما خاب من عرف الإله ولا إلى غيره افتقر. الملك ملكك واحد ونظام ملكك مستمر. الملك ملكك ظاهر أظهرت في الدنيا العبر. يا سعد من قد عثروا إني عرفتك بالصفات العاليات وبالقدر وبالقضاء وبالغنى أغنيت عبدا قد شكر إني عرفتك بالصفات العاليات وبالقدر وبالقضاء وبالغنى أغنيت عبدا قد شكر ما خاب من عرف الإله ولا إلى غيره افتقر ما خاب من عرف الإله ولا إلى غيره افتقر ما كان ذنبي مؤنسا أنت الذي فضلا غفر كم نائم كم سائل كم واقف يرجو الوطن إني دعوتك في غنى أرجو الرضاء بلا تجرؤ 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 وكذاك في الجبل الذي غفر الإله لمن حضر إني عرفتك بالصفات العاليات وبالقدر وبالقضاء وبالغنى أغنيت عبدا قد شكر إني عرفتك بالصفات العاليات وبالقدر وبالقضاء وبالغنى أغنيت عبدا قد شكر ما خاب من عرف الإله ولا إلى غيره افتقر ما خاب من عرف الإله ولا إلى غيره افتقر
Jangan
قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري فلهذا السر أدعو في يساري وعساري أنا عبد صار فخري ضمن فقري واضطراري قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري. يا إلهي ومليكي أنت تعلم كيف حالي وبما قد حل قلبي من هموم واشتغال. فتداركني بلطف منك يا مولى الموالي. يا كريم الوجه غثني قبل أن يفنى اصطباري. قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري. فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري. يا سريع الغوث غوثا منك يدركني سريعا. يهزم العسر ويأتي بالذي أرجو جميعا. يا قريبا يا مجيبا يا سميعا يا عليما. قد تحققت بعجزه وخضوعي وانكساري. قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري. فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري. لم أزل بالباب واقف فارحمن ربي وقوفي. وبوادي الفضل عاكف فأدم ربي عكوفي. ولحسن الظن لازم وهو خلي وحليفي وأنيسي وجليسي طول ليلي ونهاري. قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري. فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري. حاجة في النفس يا رب فاقضها يا خير قاضي. وأرح سري وقلبي من لظاها والشواظي. في سرور وحبور وإذا ما كنت راضي. فالهنا والبسط حالي وشعاري ودثاري. قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري. فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري. قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري. فدعائي وابتهالي.
Whatever it is that you do it somewhere else.
All the mafia will come to destroy you.
Hurry up. Ain't no way you can keep up. The Equalizer 3.
Found multiple bodies. Kill him?
Do I look like a killer?
غرباء مستمسكين بدينهم ودماؤهم عطر الجنادل رفعوا الأكف تضرعوا عند الشدائد والزلازل يا رب صن أعراضهم ونفوسهم من كل قاتل وقفوا ذروعا حرة دون البنادق والقنابل نمت عيون صغارهم واستيقظت نار المعاول لا عشقت لهم ولا دامت له يوم أنامل وعليه أسبح حوبة دمع الثكال والأرامل لله رب المشتكى رب الأواخر والأوائل والله فوق المعتدي فوق الأسنة والسلاسل وغدا يكون لأمتي صرح تزينه المشاعر وغدا إذا الحق اعتلى حتما سيدحق كل باطل أبكي على شام الهوى بعيون مظلوم منادل وأذوب في ساحاتها بين المساجد والمنازل أبكي على شام الهوى بعيون مظلوم منادل وأذوب في ساحاتها بين المساجد والمنازل. سلاما يا عمر الفاروق سلاما يا عمر الفاروق حكمت عدلت أملت فنمت رسيخ البال بمثلك نستصغر نجوما ودرا
Hey, hello, Miss Paula. Can you hear me? All right, yeah. All right, Miss Paula, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, I'm gonna start. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Thank you very much for this invitation and for your kind listening. Thank you so much. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry before this. I got some trouble.
Yeah, I'm sorry for this. I got
Welcome
some
to
trouble.
Universitas Erlangga.
Welcome to
Before that, I'm
Universitas
gonna start
Erlangga.
this
Before
event
that, I'm
first.
gonna start this event first.
All right.
Alright.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
No problem.
Alright, Miss Paula. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahillazi anzala Quran hudalinasim wa bayyinatim minal huda wal furqan. Asyhadu alla ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadar abduhu wa rasuluh la nabiyya ba'da amma ba'du. The Honorable, our Supervisor of Mahasiswa Masjid Ulul Asmi Universitas Airlangga, Ustadz Afri Ardianto, SM. The Honorable, our speaker for today, Ms. Paula Colonel Law, PhD. And the Honorable, the Chairman of Mahasiswa Masjid Universitas Airlangga, Reva, and all of the committee for today. All right. First of all, let us praise and thank you to the presence of Allah Almighty for the abundance and of grace and the joy of all of us can still gather in this place without any barriers and all and in good health. Not forgetting the salawat and greetings before our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us out in the dark of age to the era of bright light today, namely Islam. May we all get integration on out of the end. All right, before that, welcome to the Kajian Islam with the time of how the Islam can affect to our mental health. Before that, my name is Fali Faisal and I will be the master ceremony for this Kajian Islam International that held by Mahasiswa Masjid Universitas Erlangga. I am glad to have you here, especially to our admirable speaker for today, Ms. Paula Colonello, PhD. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to our prestigious Universitas Erlangga. So to commence today's event, let's start with saying Basmalah together and Al-Fatiha. Amin, amin, ya rabbal alamin. All right, before that, let's start with the reading of the CV of our speaker for today, Miss Paula. So the committee, you can start to show the CV. Okay, for our speaker for today is Miss Paula Colonella, PhD with the academic history, is the PhD student majoring in education in contemporary society from University of Milan and for University of Milan, Italy, with the research area in anthropology of education, transformative learning theory, Islamic culture and education, and also adult education. Miss Paula Colonella is a lecturer and also a freelance researcher in University of Milan, Italy. Another historic economy of Miss Paula is also a master degree in anthropological and ethnological science in class of 2016 in Department of Human Science and Education in University of Milan, Italy again. So our speaker today is very insightful and very admirable speaker. Yes, yeah. So before further ado, let's start to our material for today. But before that, we have a translator. That is Mr. Shadat. Hello, Shadat. Can you hear me?
Okay, hello Fadli.
Hello, Shadat. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right. So our translator today is Mr. Ahmad Musyahdat, who also the one of the Universitas Erlangga student. So the system of the translator will be explained by Mr. Sadat first. So Mr. Sadat, you can start to explain, please.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone, and good morning, the honorable speakers, Ma'am Paula Colonello, PhD. Okay, maybe first of all, I would like to ask your permission, ma'am, to translate the sentences to Indonesia to make our material easier to be understood. I beg your pardon if in the middle of the presentations I have to stop it for a while in order to translate it into Indonesia. Okay, I think that's all. Without any further ado, so let's listen to the material presentation by our honorable speakers, Ma'am Paula Colonello, PhD, and times is yours.
So hello to everyone. Could you hear me correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I thank you very much for your kind invitation and for your kind listening to my words. And I feel very honored to be here and share with you my reflection about the issue of connection between spiritual education and well-being in Islamic experience.
Oke, pertama, Mbak Paula ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada kita semua karena telah diundang. Beliau sangat senang karena diundang untuk mengisi acara pada hari ini yang bertema mengenai hubungan antara iman dan juga ketenangan mental.
Thank you very much, Ahmad, for your kind translation. It will be very helpful. So I will start connecting the idea of wellness with that of movement, which crosses again and again the whole Islamic discourse.
Saya akan memulai dengan memperkenalkan sebuah ide mengenai kesejahteraan dan juga pergerakan yang berkembang dalam dunia Islam.
The German word Zugunruhe is a German word. Zugunruhe is the ethnological term which describes the increase of the activity of movement that pertains to migratory birds, which are forced into a confined environment and prevented from soaring towards distant destinations.
Terdapat sebuah kata yang ada di bahasa Jerman yaitu Zugunruh, yang sebuah kata etologis ya, yang menggambarkan peningkatan aktivitas pergerakan burung. Nah, mereka bermigrasi karena merasakan ketidaknyamanan.
Their migratory restlessness is similar to the one that pervades the human being in both spiritual and physical practical terms.
Nah, kegelisahan yang dirasakan oleh burung-burung tadi sehingga mereka bermigrasi itu memiliki konteks yang sama dengan apa yang kita rasakan, kegelisahan-kegelisahan yang kita miliki secara fisik dan secara spiritual.
This restlessness is what invites us to act, to begin, to lead.
Nah, kegelisahan-kegelisahan inilah yang mendorong kita untuk bertindak, memulai, dan menjadi manusia yang sejati.
Man is driven to walk from what is familiar to him to what is unknown. And in this exodus, which transforms his exile into exploration, he repeatedly tests himself, challenging both the environment and his ability to adjust his current quality of existence and his ideal self.
Nah, manusia pada hal ini didorong untuk mengetahui, melampaui segala sesuatu yang tidak pernah dia temui, termasuk hal-hal yang menurut mereka asing, mencangkup lingkungan dan menyesuaikan diri dengan segala aktivitas yang dihadapi oleh manusia tersebut. Manusia harus beradaptasi.
So displacement, movement, struggle, and resistance are actions that intertwine in a circle that Islam reads as highly virtuous and worthy of reward, if what guide actions are good intention and the faith, and not the ambition to pursue material pleasures.
Nah, perpindahan, kemudian pergerakan, perjuangan yang kita hadapi ini sangat dihargai dalam Islam. Jika kita melihat semuanya ini adalah kebaikan, berusaha untuk meraih kebaikan, kita semua akan diberikan pahala oleh Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala.
Therefore, we can say that human existence reveals to be an opportunity to choose between movement and the containment of movement.
Maka dari itu kita bisa menyimpulkan bahwasannya keberadaan manusia ini adalah sebuah kesempatan bagi kita untuk memilih antara entah kita mau bergerak kepada kebaikan itu atau tidak.
So seen from this perspective, the path of life cannot be always considered.
Dari perspektif ini,
cannot be always considered a continuous process of growth.
Dilihat dari perspektif ini, jalan kehidupan manusia tidak bisa dianggap selalu berkelanjutan.
It is rather a path which is subject to stops and regressions.
Kehidupan tersebut pada dasarnya dapat tunduk dan dapat berhenti.
So while even stops can prove to be important learning opportunities, a reduced awareness inhabits the ability to learn from these interruptive experiences.
Nah, ketika kita berhenti atau dunia ini berhenti, maka kita bisa mengambil hal-hal yang positif atau yang negatif. Yang positif contohnya kita bisa memanfaatkan peluang yang kita hadapi untuk belajar dan mengambil kebaikan sebanyak-banyaknya.
So when will and intention show to be absent, growth slows down until it stops and reverses its direction, so that it gets to silence the evolutionary potential of the individual.
Ketika kemauan dan niat telah kita miliki dan kita genggam dengan kuat, maka pertumbuhan itu akan mengikuti kita sehingga kita akan berkembang, dan inilah yang konsep yang diinginkan oleh perkembangan Islam.
And that is why the concept of moving forward results to be so important in Islamic experience.
Maka dari itu pergerakan-pergerakan inilah yang dibutuhkan oleh Islam.
It's so important in the for the concept of well-being. For the concept
dalam kesejahteraan manusia itu juga sangat penting, bahwasanya
so according to the great Malaysian thinker Naqib Al-Attas, a human being with a good and correct religion can return to the spiritual condition which was characteristic of the pre-existence before the human soul became a physical being.
Berdasarkan apa yang telah dikutip oleh seorang ilmuwan dari Malaysia yang bernama Naqib Al-Attas, bahwasanya kehidupan manusia ini akan baik dan jika dia memiliki kekuatan agama yang baik dan spiritualitas yang baik. Jadi dalam setiap kesulitan atau kondisi apapun yang dihadapi, dia akan kembali kepada agamanya dan spiritualitasnya.
So according to Al-Attas, human who are able to return to the spiritual realm of pre-existence are human who have attained a spirituality high position after going through various obstacles and mujahada.
Jadi orang-orang yang ketika dia mengalami kesulitan, dia mengembalikan pikirannya dan hatinya kepada agamanya, dia adalah orang-orang yang memiliki spiritualitas yang tinggi. Maka dari itu, ya apa yang dia lakukan itu disebut riyadhah atau mujahadah.
So reflecting on the concept of well-being, we can say that despite the goodness of Al-Attas' statements, I observe a conceptual error in the reflection above. That is the idea of going back, of returning.
Nah, dari apa yang telah disampaikan Naqib Al-Attas di atas, Mem Paula telah mengobservasi sebuah kesalahan konsep dari refleksi yang telah disampaikan Naqib Al-Attas di atas. Di antaranya adalah,
so a question could be, why should we go back to an earlier condition? Why should we return to an earlier condition? This is a question.
Dan pertanyaannya adalah, kenapa kita harus kembali ke masa lalu?
If we went back, the experience of earthly life would definitely lose its meaning.
Jika kita kembali ke masa lalu, maka pengalaman yang telah kita miliki pada hari ini akan hilang.
The meaning of life as a perilous path in which we are tested and induced to an evolutionary transformation to an improved personal growth.
Jadi makna hidup sebagai jalan berbahaya, di mana kita diuji dan dibujuk untuk berevolusi ini menuju ke pertumbuhan pribadi yang lebih baik.
So the return to a previous condition of life, a virginal, intact, and pure, would erase the meaning of the same human experience that God designed for us and made concrete through creation.
So, jadi dengan kita mengembalikan sesuatu ke masa lalu, itu maknanya kita bisa menghapus pengalaman-pengalaman buruk yang telah ditakdirkan kepada kita.
Man yearns to regain harmony, but he will not find what he has lost. Rather, he will obtain a new harmony.
Manusia akan mendapatkan kebahagiaannya, tapi dia tidak akan menemukan kebahagiaan itu saat ini, kecuali dia harus menemukan kebahagiaan lain, kebahagiaan yang baru.
He will gain a harmony that is reachable only at a higher level of consciousness.
Harmoni yang akan dia dapatkan dan akan dia capai ini akan lebih tinggi.
So man will obtain wellness, well-being, reaching the renewed balance that he will have been able to establish with his will and his intention.
Nah, manusia akan memperoleh sebuah kebahagiaan berupa kesehatan dan juga keadaan-keadaan yang lebih baik jika kita memiliki niat dan usaha.
So if we returned to the state of perfection that belonged to Adam and Hawa, the lost Eden would not appear so paradisiacal to our eyes, since thanks to our life experience, our awareness will have sharpened, knowledge and understanding will have become clearer, and evil will finally have been transcended. In other words, the evolutionary path will have been trodden.
Jika kita melihat bagaimana kesempurnaan dari Nabi Adam dan Ibu Hawa, jadi dan bagaimana beliau diturunkan dari surga, itu akan menggambarkan bagaimana ketidaksempurnaan kita sebagai manusia. Jadi itu akan menyadarkan kita beberapa hal yang seharusnya salah dan tidak kita lakukan itu justru akan membangun kita untuk menjadi pribadi yang lebih baik. Dengan kata lain, evolusi ini akan segera dilakukan.
The Hungarian psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi observes how well-being requires a constant adjustment between challenge and competence.
Seorang psikolog dari Hungaria bernama Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi mengamati bagaimana kesejahteraan dari manusia ini membutuhkan penyesuaian yang konstan antara tantangan dan kompetensi atau kemampuan.
Since the practice of the same activity, if carried out for a prolonged time and at the same level of difficulty, tends to cause boredom and frustration. And that's why man finds himself encouraged to refine his skills in comparison with more demanding challenges.
Jadi ketika kita melakukan suatu hal secara terus-menerus, pasti suatu saat kita akan bosan dan frustasi. Kenapa kita melakukan hal tersebut secara terus-menerus? Jadi karakter dari manusia ini selalu terdorong untuk menemukan tantangan-tantangan baru yang lebih menantang bagi dia.
So if we would like to find the same happiness and well-being of the Eden of Adam and Hawa, but their experience for us could be tedious and stimulus free. So we could get bored by that experience. Now, after the experience of life on earth.
Jadi ketika kita bandingkan apa yang telah kita alami ini dengan kejadian yang dialami oleh Nabi Adam dan Siti Hawa tadi dengan pengalaman-pengalaman beliau di surga, maka terbukti menjadi stimulus bagi kita.
Because our evolution needs new challenges.
Karena evolusi kita, perkembangan kita ini membutuhkan tantangan-tantangan yang baru.
The well-being of Muslims, I mean the mental, the physical, the whole well-being of Muslim consists in having reached a higher level of cognitive, experiential, and spiritual evolution.
Kemudian kesejahteraan yang dimiliki oleh seorang Muslim ini akan didapatkan ketika dia mencapai level yang tertinggi, level yang lebih tinggi secara kognitif, kemudian secara pengalaman yang dia dapatkan, dan juga perkembangan spiritual.
So a spiritual refinement itself consists in this achievement.
Jadi pengalaman dan evolusi atau perkembangan spiritual tadi meliputi pencapaian-pencapaian ini.
So spiritual refinement does not consist in returning to a previous condition.
Pencapaian tersebut tidak mengharuskan kita untuk kembali ke kondisi sebelumnya.
Reaching a higher level of existence means sharpening one's awareness.
Untuk mencapai kesejahteraan atau kebahagiaan yang lebih tinggi tadi, kita harus mengasah kesadaran kita.
Adam was unaware, perfect but unaware. He did not awareness. He could not have got awareness.
Pada saat itu Nabi Adam sedang tidak sadar karena dibohongi oleh iblis.
Is considering insan kamil, but as you know, the insan kamil, whom Islam considers to be the goal of human existence, of human experience, represent instead the perfect and conscious man. So a man with awareness.
Jadi seorang insan yang kamil itu adalah mereka yang sebagai manusia memiliki kesadaran terhadap diri mereka sendiri.
It represents the man who is accountable for what he has experienced and for the action he has performed.
Nah, laki-laki atau seorang yang bertanggung jawab ini adalah mereka yang bertanggung jawab atas segala sesuatu yang telah dialaminya.
He is the man who got to know how to make a choice, who knew how to discern and separate what benefits from what causes damages.
Dan juga Nabi Adam adalah seseorang yang pastinya sangat tahu mengenai segala sesuatu yang harus dilakukan, mengandung manfaat, dan segala sesuatu manakah yang harus ditinggalkan karena mengandung madarat.
So in carrying out his constant action of spiritual and cognitive jihad, a Muslim does not aspire to collect medals. Rather, he discriminates. He optimizes the dimensions of the burden he takes on, getting rid of unnecessary weights.
Nah, Begitu juga ketika seorang muslim, ketika mereka melakukan jihad secara spiritual dan secara kognitif, secara terus-menerus, sebenarnya orang-orang muslim ini tidak mendapatkan medali atau penghargaan di dunia. Justru realitanya mereka terkadang didiskriminasi.
He needs space for virtues, and he creates this space by subtracting a space from vices.
Para muslim yang berjihad ini mencoba untuk membuat ruang kebaikan sebanyak mungkin dan menyingkirkan atau mengurangi keburukan-keburukan yang terjadi.
His fight is described as contrastive. It is, first of all, a fight against disorder.
Pertarungan atau jihad seorang muslim ini digambarkan sesuatu yang kontras, terutama pertarungan melawan kekacauan.
Being aimed at individual and collective well-being, Islamic religion offers Muslims the skills to fight the entropic drive that brings disorder to consciousness.
Nah, untuk mendapatkan kesejahteraan atau kebahagiaan secara individu, sebenarnya agama Islam telah menawarkan kepada kita bagaimana menanggapi kekacauan yang terjadi, yaitu dengan meningkatkan kesadaran kita.
And this struggle aims at increasing the skills of self-control, discipline, and attention.
Kesadaran ini adalah sebuah perjuangan yang bertujuan untuk meningkatkan keterampilan, kemudian pengendalian diri, disiplin, dan juga perhatian kita kepada diri kita.
Far from being a conflict against one's own self and one's well-being, it reveals a commitment aimed at one direct benefits.
Jadi tidak perlu untuk membuat konflik atau mempermasalahkan kebahagiaan orang lain untuk mendapatkan kebahagiaan kita.
So in this sense, self-control consists in a progressive improvement of the ability to integrate those human parts which work against life and against a satisfactory mental functioning in order to neutralize their harmful effects for the survival of oneself and one's own community.
Nah, dalam pengertian ini, pengendalian diri, self-control tadi sangat penting untuk membatasi diri kita, kemudian mengintegrasikan bagian-bagian penting tadi, kesadaran dan lain-lain tadi, untuk melawan nafsu atau mental yang memuaskan. Nah, itu adalah tujuannya agar menetralisir efek yang membahayakan kita untuk kelangsungan hidup kita.
In this way, what is useless leaves room to what is necessary, and it is discriminated in favor of the inclusion of what proves to be preparatory to well-being.
Nah, dengan ini kita dapat menyingkirkan beban-beban yang mungkin kurang berguna bagi kita, sehingga kita dapat menemukan ketenangan atau kesejahteraan yang kita inginkan.
As Csikszentmihalyi observes, the mystical heights are not reached by some superhuman quantum leap. They are reached through a progressive focus of one's attention on the opportunities for action that appear in the environment.
Sebagaimana yang telah diamati oleh Csikszentmihalyi, ketinggian mistis tidak dijangkau oleh seberapa jauh lompatan superhuman. mereka
So,
bisa dicapai secara progresif dengan memperhatikan ya tindakan-tindakan kecil atau memanfaatkan peluang-peluang kecil yang ada dalam hidup kita.
The result is the incremental refinement of both challenges and skills.
Jadi hasilnya adalah kita dapat menemukan tantangan dan juga dapat menemukan skill yang kita miliki.
So according to the theory of these Hungarian psychologists, the immense reward and the excellence which is promised in Quran in Surah Al-Nisa verse 95 are reserved for Al-Mujahidun fi Sabilillah is reached thanks to a feeling of well-being that comes from an optimal experience, which often requires strenuous physical exertion or highly disciplined mental activity.
Nah, berdasarkan teori perkembangan yang dikembangkan oleh seorang psikolog dari Hungaria, dan juga berdasarkan dari Al-Quran, yaitu Al-Mujahiduna fi Sabilillah, mereka akan mendapatkan balasan dan juga ketenangan hati yang mereka dapatkan karena mereka sudah mengerahkan semua kemampuan yang dimiliki untuk Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala.
So in other words, it requires the use of a qualified performance.
Dengan kata lain, jihad tersebut membutuhkan profesionalitas atau kemampuan yang mumpuni.
In this sense, in Islamic religion, well-being requires preparation and is more easily experienced by those people who come to control their inner experience and are able to determining the quality of their lives.
Nah, dalam hal ini ketenangan yang didapatkan oleh manusia sebenarnya membutuhkan beberapa hal, yakni bagaimana dia dapat menyembunyikan their inner experience atau pengalaman mendalam yang ia miliki untuk meningkatkan kualitas hidup mereka.
I quote the Quran that says that for indeed with adversity comes joy. Yes, with adversity comes joy. So having finished your work, strive again.
Nah, ini berdasarkan ayat Al-Quran mungkin dalam surah Alam Nashrah Lahu fa inna ma'al usri yusra inna ma'al usri yusra fa idza faraghta fansab wa ila rabbika farghab. Jadi setelah kemudahan ada setelah kesulitan pasti ada kemudahan, dan setelah kamu menyelesaikan semuanya maka fa idza faraghta fansab. Jika kamu telah menyelesaikan pekerjaanmu maka beralihlah ke pekerjaan yang lainnya.
While we often find ourselves arguing to the contrary, we are not programmed to remain in a state of emptiness. Even holidays, which contemporarily distract from the annoyances of everyday life, appear as a temporary escape for duties, a momentary isolation from the usual context. So the brightest moments that go through our life are not those in which we are passive and relaxed. The most significant moments in life occur when the body or the mind are pushed to the limits in a voluntary effort aimed at carrying out a useful and non-trivial task.
Nah, meskipun diri kita sering berpendapat sebaliknya, tapi kita tidak dapat menyangkal bahwasanya konsep dari Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala bahwa setiap kesulitan itu pasti ada kemudahan.
So, as Chichen Miali argues, on such occasions, happiness follows a sense of mastery, of participation in realizing the content of one's life. It follows the control of one's psychic energy, which needs to be invested in consciously chosen and pursued objectives.
Sebagaimana yang telah dijelaskan oleh Kajian Mihaly tadi, bahwasanya kebahagiaan yang kita dapatkan berdasarkan seberapa banyak kita mengontrol emosi fisik yang kita lakukan sehari-hari.
So Islamic education, with its disciplinary contents, represents in this sense a channel, a system of control for human psychic energy.
Maka dari itu pendidikan Islam ini mendorong kita untuk lebih disiplin lagi mengatur bagaimana kita mengarahkan energi-energi ke dalam hal-hal yang positif.
So the effort required by Quran does not only represent a duty or a deserving behavior worthy of being rewarded. It is sensible and fruitful when it demonstrates self-empowering goals, when it provides for a progressive intensification of individual and social well-being in every form of presence, and supports the enterprise of perfecting one's existential performance.
Nah, jadi apa yang telah diarahkan atau diterangkan dalam Al-Quran ini tidak hanya mengharuskan kita untuk melaksanakan kewajiban kita untuk beribadah kemudian diberikan pahala oleh Allah, tapi bagaimana kita dengan bahagia, dengan senang hati melaksanakan semua yang telah diwajibkan oleh Allah kepada kita.
So in other words, effort proves to be appropriate and profitable if and when there are reasons for considering it as evolutionary.
Sehingga usaha atau niat yang kita miliki ini nanti akan bermanfaat bagi kita jika kita memiliki alasan, yaitu kita ingin berkembang.
So pulled partly by the past and partly by the future, we walk suspended between the step taken and the step to be taken. In a state of constant imbalance that is compensated only by movement, an imbalance that forces us to frantically search for a new balance.
Ya, ketika kita mengetahui apa yang terjadi di masa lalu dan kemudian kita ingin melakukan sesuatu di masa depan, maka kita harus melewati tahapan-tahapan. Ya, tahapan-tahapan inilah yang merupakan sebuah proses pergerakan kita untuk memperoleh ketenangan.
For Muhammad Iqbal, stillness and relax can even have threatening outcomes since they result from the interruption of that state of tension, which is the most precious of the results achieved by men and needs to be maintained.
Bagi Muhammad Iqbal, ya, keadaan di mana kita menanggapi sesuatu ini akan mempengaruhi hasil yang akan kita dapatkan dan bagaimana kita akan mempertahankan hal tersebut.
So inner tension is an essential prerequisite for mental health, necessary for maintaining the connection between what has already been achieved and what one expects to achieve, between what one is and what one should or would like to become.
Perasaan yang kita miliki ini menjadi syarat penting untuk kesehatan mental kita, karena itu diperlukan untuk menjaga diri kita mengenai hal-hal nanti apakah kita bisa mendapatkan apa yang kita inginkan atau tidak.
So the path of the Muslim, which is stretched between a starting point and a finishing line, between the obtained and the obtainable, the become and the becomable is maintained precisely by this same constant tension.
Nah, jadi jalan yang harus ditempuh oleh seorang Muslim adalah bagaimana dia dapat mempertahankan ketenangan batinnya, ketenangan hatinya untuk menerima segala sesuatu, entah itu diinginkannya atau tidak.
So the state of absence of tension, which biology calls homeostasis, can be translated into a suspension of the process of knowledge.
Nah, ketika ketenangan hati kita, ketika kita tidak mendapatkan apa yang kita inginkan ini, dalam istilah biologi disebut homeostasis, yang diartikan sebagai sebuah proses pengetahuan.
Viktor Frankl, who was a psychologist, suspects the dangerousness of homeostasis for life itself and suggests to focus attention on those existential dynamics which place man between the opposite polarities represented by fulfilled meanings and those which are waiting to be fulfilled. Those dynamics which push the individual to migrate to the direction of meaning.
Kemudian Viktor Frankl, dia adalah seorang sosiolog. Dia mencurigai bahaya dari homeostasis bagi kehidupan. Kemudian dia menyarankan untuk memusatkan perhatian kita kepada dinamika yang terjadi dalam hidup kita dan kemudian berusaha untuk berdamai dengan dinamika tersebut.
So the existential emptiness so feared by Viktor Frankl resides in inner abysses, in the inability to responsibly undertake to respond to a life which questions us.
Jadi kekosongan eksistensi inilah yang ditakuti oleh Viktor Frankl tadi, karena bisa menyebabkan seorang manusia ketika dia merasa kosong dan batinnya terganggu, dia tidak akan mampu bertanggung jawab untuk menanggapi atau menyikapi kehidupan yang telah dialaminya, yang sedang dialaminya.
So after all, what is the element that has characterized the Arabic Islamic experience since its inception? It is the movement. The issue of movement becomes even more explicit in Tasawwuf and its idea of a path to follow, of a goal to reach. In other words, of the human journey.
Jadi setelah semuanya, maka pertanyaannya adalah apa karakteristik yang dimiliki oleh bangsa-bangsa Arab yang Islam. Jawabannya adalah pergerakan, movement. Dan isu atau pembahasan mengenai pergerakan ini sebenarnya berhubungan dengan tasawuf, berhubungan dengan idealisme yang harus kita ikuti, dan sebuah target yang harus kita capai, atau dalam hal lain dikatakan sebagai human journey, perjalanan seorang manusia.
So Imam Al-Ghazali wrote that journeys can be divided into two categories. The first one represents the physical journey that takes place starting from where you reside and finishes when you reach other places. The second one represents the journey that man makes with the heart, starting from the dark depths of ignorance and approaching the dominion of heaven.
Imam Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali menulis atau mengutip bahwasannya terdapat dua macam perjalanan dari manusia. Yang pertama adalah perjalanan fisik, di mana starting point atau titik awal perjalanan tersebut adalah di mana kita berada, dan garis finishnya adalah kita sampai kepada tujuan yang kita inginkan. Kemudian perjalanan yang kedua adalah perjalanan batin, perjalanan hati, di mana titik awal dari perjalanan tersebut adalah kita menyadari kegelapan, kebodohan yang kita miliki, dan garis finishnya nanti adalah kita bisa menggapai surganya Allah.
So the second type of journey, undertaking with the aspiration to remedy one's ignorance and imperfection, is the journey which of the two Al-Ghazali considers to be the more honored. In the eyes of the Persian theologian, a sedentary learning which persists in repeating only what has been acquired by imitation from the parents would only confuse with the darkness of the prison and the constraints of detention the wide space which is as vast as the sky and the earth are.
Menurut Imam Al-Ghazali, perjalanan yang kedua yaitu perjalanan hati, perjalanan batin. Ini lebih mulia karena pada perjalanan ini manusia berusaha untuk memperbaiki ketidaktahuan, melengkapi ketidaksempurnaannya, sehingga menurut teolog Persia, ketika seseorang tidak banyak bergerak dan hanya mengikuti apa yang dilakukan oleh orang tuanya, sebenarnya dia dalam keadaan kebingungan. Kebingungan ini terhalangi dengan seperti halnya penjara dengan sekat-sekatnya, dan sekatnya ini luasnya bagaikan luas langit dan bumi.
So today, more than ever, Islamic education is necessarily facing the issue of permanence and that of movement. Islamic invitation to movement shouldn't be surprising. The very life of those Bedouins who inhabited Arabia, where Islam initially spread, took place in a dimension of constant mobility.
Saat ini perkembangan atau pendidikan Islam menghadapi sebuah tantangan berupa permanence atau mungkin keistiqomahan dan juga pergerakan. Nah, ajakan Islam atau perintah Islam untuk bergerak ini seharusnya tidak mengherankan bagi kita, karena itu tercermin dari kehidupan orang-orang Badui yang mendiami Arab, di mana Islam pada awalnya menyebar.
So it's not coincidence if the words that in Arabic express the concept of stopping in a place refer to the idea of a break, and those that express the idea of home imply a moment of rest.
Jadi orang-orang Baduy ini kan memiliki kebiasaan mobilitas yang tinggi, jadi dia berpindah-pindah. Nah, karena hal tersebutlah seharusnya bukan merupakan hal yang kebetulan jika beberapa kosakata dalam bahasa Arab ini mengekspresikan konsep berhenti di suatu tempat merujuk pada gagasan istirahat, sebagaimana kata home dalam bahasa Inggris yang menyiratkan a moment of rest atau waktu untuk istirahat.
The issues of acquisition of knowledge, studying and carrying out one's own research represent the fulcrum of Islamic educational tradition.
Nah, isu-isu mengenai perolehan pengetahuan ini, perolehan pengetahuan dan bagaimana cara kita belajar ini menjadi perhatian dalam tradisi pendidikan Islam.
However, in the contemporary world, the issue of learning collides with a world in which news move along the ether and information spreads via web at such a speed that was unpredictable before.
Nah, bagaimanapun juga pada akhir-akhir ini, isu-isu mengenai pendidikan ini berlawanan dengan informasi-informasi yang sangat mudah menyebar melalui internet dan web. Dan ini tidak pernah kita bayangkan sebelumnya.
In this capillary system, which generates confusion and ephemeral belongings, much of what is learned shows to be fake, false, and artificial.
Nah, karena cepatnya informasi ini menyebar di internet dan banyak sekali informasi-informasi tersebut justru yang salah, maka kita sulit untuk memilih dan memilah mana informasi yang benar.
So the spirit of truth and beauty ends to be often corrupted, and the speed of transmission and diffusion of news makes it difficult to review the many circulating messages.
Di sisi lain, informasi-informasi yang benar justru kalah dengan informasi-informasi yang salah tersebut, sehingga semakin menyulitkan kita untuk menemukan mana informasi yang benar dan mana informasi yang salah.
Therefore, the path that leads to knowledge must follow a motivation which is different from the simple desire to accumulate notions. Rather, it must take place by selection, or to be more precise, by detraction, a detraction which, far from impoverishing, aims to select, enhance, and bring beauty.
Maka dari itu, konsep pendidikan yang harus kita geser pengertiannya adalah kita belajar bukan hanya untuk mengumpulkan ilmu, tapi kita juga harus menyeleksi keilmuan-keilmuan yang kita dapatkan. Karena kebaikan ilmu yang kita dapatkan ketika belajar ini nanti akan memberikan kebaikan kepada orang lain.
So such an operation aims to dispel the mists of ignorance that veil feelings and thoughts and confuse action.
Nah, tindakan semacam ini memiliki manfaat bagi kita, yaitu kita dapat menghapus pikiran-pikiran yang membingungkan, kegelapan-kegelapan yang ada pada hati dan pikiran kita, dan berbagai macam hal yang membingungkan kita, bagaimana untuk bertindak.
So it consists of a work of smoothing, of separation of the chaff from the grain.
Nah, kegiatan semacam ini seperti halnya ketika kita memisahkan jarum di atas jerami.
It should be an exercise of sharpening one's judgment and refining one's understanding.
Nah, kegiatan semacam ini atau tindakan semacam ini pada dasarnya dapat mengasah kita untuk mempertajam pikiran kita, kemudian kita dapat mengembangkan wawasan yang kita miliki.
So through this work of caring for knowledge, the user of communication becomes able to separate what he considers useful from what he considers useless or harmful.
Nah, dengan tindakan kita, bagaimana kita secara kritis menyeleksi mana informasi yang salah dan mana informasi yang benar ini, secara tidak langsung dapat memberikan kita atau memberikan kita kemampuan untuk bagaimana membedakan mana hal yang baik dan bermanfaat bagi kita, mana hal yang buruk yang membahayakan kita.
So this is a sensitive operation that, as we can imagine, addresses to that mental and spiritual wellness that the Islamic community is longing for.
Nah, kegiatan atau tindakan-tindakan seperti inilah yang dapat kita bayangkan dan dapat kita terapkan bagaimana caranya untuk memperkuat atau memperbaiki mental kita, mental spiritualitas kita. Dan inilah yang dimiliki oleh Islam.
The Iranian pedagogist Bagheri Nauparast argues that Islamic education should prove to be functional in regulating the environment, and it should put the individual in a condition by which he could autonomously judge the legitimacy of an idea and make decision accordingly.
Terdapat seorang pengajar dari Iran, namanya adalah Bagheri Nauparast. Dia berpendapat bahwasannya pendidikan Islam ini harus membuktikan fungsionalitasnya untuk mengatur lingkungan. Maksudnya adalah bagaimana pendidikan Islam ini dapat membentuk seorang individu yang memiliki kemampuan otonom untuk menilai keabsahan suatu informasi dan juga memberikan keputusan atau solusi yang sesuai dengan permasalahan.
So this operation of autonomous evaluation and refinement express the sense of the search for order, that tendency towards order that, as I already underlined, runs through the entire Islamic discourse.
Nah, kegiatan semacam inilah yang harus kita lakukan karena seperti yang telah Mem Paula garis bawahi, ini adalah apa yang disarankan oleh Islam, yang dimiliki oleh Islam.
So in Islam, the path of knowledge has always accompanied that of spiritual elevation. Both are essential for achieving a state of well-being.
Nah, dalam Islam, mengembangkan pengetahuan harus juga selaras dengan perkembangan spiritual, karena keduanya memiliki esensi yang penting untuk kita untuk mencapai ketenangan.
Perhaps you will be surprised to know that the adherence to religion, understood as a spiritual quest that generates a condition of well-being, is a topic which has been considered also by Western academic secular studies.
Nah, mungkin kita juga akan terkejut bahwasannya mencapai ketenangan secara agama ini atau mencapai ketenangan spiritualitas ini juga dikaji oleh academic Western Scholar Studies oleh para ilmuwan Barat.
So in the contemporary context, Dr. Lisa Miller, the founder of the Spirituality Mind-Body Institute and Teachers College of Columbia University, observed that in social and medical sciences, a very strong prejudice towards research in the field of spirituality persists.
Nah, dalam konteks akhir-akhir ini, Lisa Miller, dia adalah seorang pendiri dari organisasi SMBI, Spirituality Mind Body Institute. Dia juga seorang dosen di Universitas Columbia, mengamati hal tersebut dalam bidang sosial dan medis.
Her studies in psychology of education, challenging the prevailing skepticism, explore the natural spirituality of the human being, which Miller considers essential for the mental health and well-being of the person, especially if developed in the first 2 decades of life.
Dalam studinya yang berkaitan dengan psikologi dan pendidikan, dia menantang skeptisisme yang berlaku, bahwasannya yang dianggap penting oleh Miller bagi kesehatan mental dan kesejahteraan orang-orang yang hidup pada zaman ini.
SMBI itself investigates the connections between psychology and spirituality, promoting self-exploration with the aim of building an international community of spiritual and visionary activists who are bearers of stimulating and therapeutic thought. It also validates that transformative inner work, which is capable of motivating outer change.
Nah, SMBI atau organisasi yang telah didirikan oleh Miller ini juga mempromosikan psikologi dan spiritualitas. Jadi eksplorasi diri juga menjadi faktor utama untuk meraih kesejahteraan atau kebahagiaan, ketenangan batin.
In Miller's opinion, spirituality has to be considered as we consider development, resilience, health, and support of emotional suffering for children and adolescents.
Menurut Miller ini spiritualitas harus benar-benar diperhatikan, terutama untuk menjaga emosi dari anak-anak dan remaja.
For the New York psychologist, spiritual growth is a biological and psychological imperative that should be integrated with the directives for cognitive, physical, social, and emotional development, shaped by interaction with the environment.
Nah, menurut psikolog dari New York, spiritualitas ini bertumbuh secara biologis dan psikologis sejalan dengan bagaimana mereka berinteraksi dalam lingkungan mereka.
It is also her opinion that the inner spiritual compass, which is part of our genetic heritage, as well as it is the primary source of resilience, prepares the individual to successfully face obstacles, difficulties, and potentially disorienting existential questions.
Nah, dia juga berpendapat bahwasannya pentingnya spiritualitas ini karena dengan spiritualitas ini seseorang dapat memiliki ketahanan untuk menghadapi segala macam rintangan dan kesulitan yang mungkin akan membingungkan dia.
From her research, the intimate relationship with the divine is inversely associated with the addictions and the use of substances like drugs, contrary to what happens in the case of affiliation to militant groups that recognize religious metrics, in which the use of smuggled drugs is even encouraged.
Nah, dalam penelitiannya dia juga berpendapat bahwasannya ketika seseorang memiliki hubungan dengan Tuhannya, maka itu akan menjadi counter bagi orang-orang yang ingin menghasutnya menggunakan barang-barang zat-zat yang merusak dirinya seperti narkoba dan lain-lain.
So her research demonstrates that a rigid adherence to a creed, if deprived of the sense of sacredness in the relationship with the divine, is in no way able to prevent this kind of abuse.
Jadi ketika seseorang memiliki hubungan yang baik dengan Tuhannya, maka tidak akan bisa diganggu oleh segala sesuatu, termasuk penyalahgunaan obat-obatan terlarang tersebut.
So if deprived of the conscious care of the spiritual resource inherent in individual intimacy, religion resolves itself into rituals, moralisms, and unconditional adherence to doctrine, losing its function of aid to the setting in motion of a personal evolutionary change, which would have ameliorative repercussions on the well-being of the social body as a whole.
Nah, itu bisa kita simpulkan bahwasannya jika kita kehilangan spiritualitas dari diri kita, maka itu akan berdampak, kita akan kehilangan ketenangan dari diri kita secara keseluruhan.
In the book of Plato, the philosopher Plato, Alcibiades Primo, Socrates reveals to Alcibiades, his pupil, that man is nothing other than his soul, and that the Delphic admonition, know thyself, orders to know one's own soul, since soul is what one must take care of. It is there that one's gaze must be directed, so that human things aiming at virtue can be reflected in the divine mirror, and self-knowledge is finally made possible.
Apa yang dikatakan oleh Socrates dalam bukunya Plato berkata bahwasannya manusia ini sebenarnya tidak ada, manusia ini tidak bisa hidup tanpa jiwanya. Nah, jadi yang menjadi perhatian bagi manusia ini, yang harus diperhatikan terutama adalah bagaimana dia memperbaiki jiwanya.
So taking care of our soul means giving it nourishment, observing it, and participating in its growth.
Ketika kita berusaha untuk memperbaiki jiwa kita, maka sebenarnya kita sudah dekat dengan perkembangan.
So it means recognizing its presence in relationships and learning contexts, and providing it with a voice through which it can express itself.
Nah, dengan kita menyadari hal tersebut, maka kita juga akan memperbaiki hubungan-hubungan kita dan lain sebagainya.
In John Dirk's adult and lifelong education perspective, in order to be considered transformative, the learning through the soul must transcend the individualistic and constricting vision of the ego and give meaning to what we consider other than ourselves.
Nah, menurut perspektif dari John Dirks, bahwasanya ketika kita sudah menjadi orang yang dewasa, kita harus mampu untuk mempertimbangkan kita akan dinamai sebagai orang yang transformatif ketika kita belajar untuk memperbaiki jiwa kita. Nah, maksudnya adalah kita mengurangi ego kita, tidak mementingkan diri sendiri dan mencoba untuk mempertimbangkan kebutuhan dari orang lain.
Alright, excuse me, Miss Paula.
Yes.
The time for material is
Okay.
over. Alright,
Okay.
next we're gonna move. I think that the material for today is very insightful, and I got so many of perspective about how can Islam affect to our mental health, and also our intellectual can bring so much of impact to our life, and so much thing that I got learned from our discussion for today. But because of time, maybe we can next to our discussion to question and answer session. We got so much questions from our participants for today about your material. So we're gonna move to the first question from Adiva. I got a question from Adiva that the question is, how can we understanding and implementing the concept of tawakkul, reliance on God, alleviate stress and anxiety in the life of Muslim? Thank you. You got this?
Sorry, could you please repeat, because there were a strong
Alright.
sound inside.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I'm gonna typing on the
Okay.
chat Zoom. The question is, how can we understanding and implementing the concept of tawakkul, reliance on God, alleviate stress and anxiety in the life of Muslim? Thank you. Maybe you can answer. Thank you. Do you get what the question is?
I would prefer to think about this question before. Maybe can you make another one before?
Okay, next we're gonna move to another question. Okay, we're gonna move to the question from Harvard. The question is, nowadays many people when they have a problem, they will return to God. Maybe he talking about healing or focus to God, and then when the problem is gone, they will forget about the God again. How can Islam influence people to not have a behavior like this? Maybe a question
Yes,
like that.
I thank you for the question. Well, God gave to humankind a sort of life which is considered as a path, and obstacles are part of this path. So when you're facing obstacle, you're on the way. God has prepared for you. So the moment when you are facing obstacle, you think about God. You should think about God, not because God could help you overcoming these obstacles, but because the obstacles are telling you that you are on the right path. If you just try to run away from obstacle, you're not going through the correct Islamic path, because the Islamic path asks to Muslims to face obstacles, because this is part of life. So the problem is, during our life, we always have obstacles, always. We can just postpone some obstacles, but we have to face them. So God is also inside that obstacles, because obstacles are a part of the project, of the plan of God for us. So this is why a Muslim should walk on his road, on his way, on his path, just knowing that the path itself is a project of God. I hope I could answer. I mean,
Yeah, such amazing answer also. I hope that the question is answering from Alvin. Next, we're gonna move to the next question again from from Five. Yeah. The question is, what do you think of the people that who argue that the higher of a person cognitive and religion level than the lower of their social level? So, what do you think about that?
oh, sorry, I tried to understand the question. What do you think of those who argue that the higher?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. I understand what you mean.
yeah, thank you.
So I answer with the question: what is important for a Muslim? Social level, or the achievement of a higher cognitive and religious level? I think for a Muslim, the most important thing is to achieve a higher level of a performance, both in cognitive, in spiritual, in practical matters. So what's social level? What do you mean with social level? You mean maybe the achievement of material things, of richness. But as I know, Islam asks you not to search for material achievements, for material success. But the success required by Quran is a spiritual success, is spiritual achievement. So even if someone will tell you, well, you just think about knowledge, you just think about spiritual things, and you are in a low social position, you will say, I don't care about social position, because my interest as Muslim is to get knowledge and to get a higher spiritual level. So this is the most important thing. Then what's happened when you get to a higher spiritual level is that people around you consider you as a shaykh, so as a teacher, as someone who on whom you can rely on, you can trust, you as someone who can help you thinking in a better way. So I think this kind of solution is much more better than a high social level intended in money and belonging or other material achievements.
All right. I think so that maybe there's something also wrong about the social level. So when the cognitive level is demanding, the social level is low, getting low like this. All right, Miss Paula. Next, we're gonna move to the next question from Marwan. The question is, Islam teaching us that to always pursue our knowledge, to always develop our knowledge, both religious and scientific knowledge. But something we think that this life is only temporary. So why do we bother to study the word, or maybe the scientific uh, the scientific science that and have curious guess thinking that we only learn temporary like this? Do you get what the question is?
Um, so it's true, this life is temporary, but this life, it's a great occasion to think about what life is, what the creation is, and why God created this world. That means that if we are here, we must, as Muslims, you must search for knowledge. So even if life here is temporary, life give you the possibility to understand much more about God, because this word in some is a reflection of what God is the creation of God. So when you study, when you also are engaged in scientific research, as a Muslim, what you are doing is trying to understand in a better way the creation of God. These you can call is Islamization of knowledge. And but you can understand that scientific knowledge is also very useful for human life in a very practical way. I mean, we had a pandemic some years ago, next years, so we needed doctors to find a solution for this pandemic, because many people die because of this disease. So if you respect life, you can understand that scientific research is important to maintain this life. So we have to search for knowledge in many senses, not just the spiritual knowledge, but also practical knowledge, because we are made both by a spiritual part and a physical part, and we have to respect both.
All right. Thank you so much. I wish that the answer is can to answer the questions from Marwan. So I'm so amazed with all of your answer and the explanation from you. But if I'm not wrong, so I ever heard what you said before that when we have a higher of cognitive and Islam level, so it can bring an happiness. But sometimes in our life, we got a lot of obstacle. We cannot get what we need because some of condition that maybe it can give us unhappiness. So I think that Islam teach us to when we want to get something but we don't get what we want, we have to believe that what we get is not what Allah want, like this. So I mean that the higher it makes our cognitive level also be higher from that perspective. I mean that the perspective that we don't get something that we want, like this. So what do you think that if we believe that perspective, it means that our happiness is have limitation by Islam? What do you think about that?
I think that in Quran it said that Muslims have to do an effort. This effort is called jihad. That means you have to try again. If you're not successful in something, yes, it could be maybe for many reasons, also because it's not in the project of God for you to follow that path, but Quran asks you to do your effort, to move, to try again, to do all you can to get to that result. What is important is that the result comes from a correct, a good intention. A good intention. So if you are trying to achieve success which is connected to a good intention, good acts, you have to try to use your effort to get there. Because sometimes if you just say, okay, I've got many obstacles, so I stop here because the obstacle are so much, maybe it's not my path. Are you sure? Are you sure that you will be happy? Because I personally, I think that if you do your effort and you get your success after this strong jihad, there you will be happy of yourself because you tried, because you put all yourself in this enterprise and you got success because of your effort. And this is not just me. I mean, it's Quran is telling this to you, I guess. It's asking you to go on. In Surah Al-Nisa, the verse 1995, Allah says to follow your path to Him, not to stay closed in your home, inside your walls. And He says, Al-Qaidun are those one who just want to sit and stay there. They renounce to start with the jihad that God asked them to do. So if you just stay in your homes and say, well, it's too difficult for me, I cannot go there, I cannot, it's too much for me. I'm part of those al-Qaidun who just want to stop, who are not brave to go on with their strength, because you have to strive for what you want. This is jihad. This is Islam. I mean, so I think before saying, well, my unsuccess is because of God's plan, I suggest to you to try and see if maybe it was only an obstacle that you have to overcome to get to your success and get to your well-being and happiness.
All right, thank you so much,
Inshallah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Paula, for the answer. I guess that it's all about process. Process is always make us happiness because it's our jihad, right? Next, if we have once more of questions, that the question is, if we're looking at the data statistic about mental illness, most of them show that people who suffer from mental illness are dominantly teenagers or even early adult age. My question is, what things are missing from us, especially Muslim, at young age that we no longer have religions? Also, what kind of mentality should be developed among young Muslim society, especially in Indonesia nowadays, in order to be physically and mentally well, maybe? Do you get what the question is?
Yes.
All right.
As you know, the age when the period of life where of teenagers is very difficult for everyone, not only in Indonesia, because it's a moment of transition from when you're a child with no responsibility and when you are an adult and you have the responsibility for yourself, for your family, for your kids. So this period of transition is difficult because you feel you don't have a place, you don't know exactly who you are, your body is changing. So I mean, mental illness is not necessarily connected with this period, but it can arise from this kind of difficulties of that period of life. I think, as I told before, that it's really, really very important to discriminate information, because at today, Indonesian boys and girls are using internet, web, and other app, some social networks, who are a bit difficult to use, because sometimes, no, the most of the time, information which you received on Facebook, on TikTok, are fake news, false news, that generates chaos in the mind of boys and girls. So I can suggest to discriminate information, and to maybe to read some books, because books are reviewed before being publishing. So it's easier that the information you will find in books will be maybe reviewed. It means that someone read it and decided if it's good or not. If what you've write, it could be corrected, or it could be it's false, and so it does not deserve to be published. So I suggest to read books instead of searching for information on internet or on Facebook, on social network, because they usually create confusion. And as I told before, order is very important for Islam. So you can try to search for an order also in correct informations. So please discriminate news that you received on web. This is very important also for the well-being, for psychic well-being, because if you have different news which are in contrast one with the other, you can crash them inside your mind. So illness can become easier to come out. It's possible that illness became easier to in the life of kids. So I hope you will never have this kind of illness, but I mean, it's important to have a good point of reference when you search for information and knowledge. And obviously, I mean, also adults have got many problems of mental illness, not just teenagers, but probably adults can hide it because teenagers go to school. So at school they have teachers, they can have psychologists at school maybe, and these personalities can help individuating the problem. Adults have lost this kind of point of references. But believe me, also many adults have got mental illness. It's just a question of hide them or not. Unfortunately.
Yes, it's also making us thinking that mental illness is very important to get some attention from us. Yes, maybe it's last question from participants that I also read from your article about psychology and religion and psychological well-being that the global challenge that we faces today that should be pay attention for Islam is also about uh, religion and psychological well-being. This and we need some gaze, maybe like critical gaze and also a self-critical gaze like this.
Absolutely.
Yes. My question is, in what of gaze do you mean about this problem like this? What should we have to be critical? Yes, that's the question.
Uh, so I'm an anthropologist, so I'm used to be critical and autocritical. I try to ask myself many questions about everything. And being critical means to try to look at yourself in the way as you were a person who is separated by yourself. I mean, try to see yourself from another planet. Just think that you are an alien, a Martian people living on Mars, who just watch on the Earth and see people on the Earth and just try to observe behaviors, beliefs with a different perspective. It helps very much to understand what we could work on, because we don't have all the answers. We have to search for new questions and for new answers. And when we think of new questions, we are questioning ourselves. If you think that you have gained all the knowledge possible in the world, you will understand that there is something very wrong in what you're admitting, because we don't have the whole knowledge of the world. We are here to learn. So the best way to learn is to admit that we can make some errors. So we have to look at our assumptions from a different perspective. So it will help to be critical and also critical. I mean, we have to look at things in different perspectives. Also, things who belongs to other cultures, other religions, other scientific issues. And we have, first of all, to be autocritical, because we have to investigate in ourselves with a critical thinking, not believing that we are right, that we are in the right position, because possibly there could be a second opportunity.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ms.
Thanks.
Paula. Yeah. It makes me thinking that we have to move our perspective, change our perspective that we are alien, that we're sick, that allow the problem in our earth, in the earth maybe. Yes, that we have to find the solution that we can give to this earth about the problem, so much of the problem that we can face. So thank you so much to Miss Paula for so insightful and exciting journey from the first hour material. So the discussion is over, the question and answer is over. So next we're gonna move. We have some certificates from you, and let's take some documentation. Yes, with the certificate. So for the committee, you can show the certificate, please. All right, this is
Thank you
certificates.
so much.
Yes, for Miss Paulo Colonello, PhD. Maybe we can take some documentation. All right, for the committee, you can take. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much to committee. Thank you so much to Mr. Paula Colonello. Maybe you can, for the last time, you can give your closing statement.
I thank you so much for everything, all of you, all the listener, and the moderator and the interpreter. I thank him so much because I know that many words were so difficult to translate. So you have been so patient. I thank you so much. This was a real jihad for you, and I understand it. I thank you so much. So thank you really much for your kind invitation and for everyone. And I wish you the best in every field of your life. And please go on studying, go on doing your research in your life, because this is something so important that Islam put it in as the most important focus ever in search of ilm, in search of knowledge, and to become a good Muslim, you have to search knowledge during your life, along your life till the end. So I wish you the best ever, and thank you so much. I leave you with I'm Italian, so I leave you with a word which is arrivederci. That means I hope to see you again.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much to Miss Paulo for your time
Thank
and
you.
your grateful of material for today. I wish that
Thank you.
we wish that we can meet you again in another chance and in another of our material. Okay. Next, thank you so much. Thank you again to Miss Paula. Next, we're gonna move to the certificates for the translator. Ahmad Mushadat, maybe for the committee, you can share screen for the certificates. Okay, once again, I also thank you to Ahmad Mushadat as our translator for today in our Kajian Islam International that was held by Masjid Universitas Erlangga. So let's take a documentation. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much for the committee for the sharing screen. Okay, next, maybe we can have some documentation to all participants. Maybe for all participants, you can turn on your camera because we're gonna have some documentation. Okay, let's take a documentation for today. Okay, for the committee, you can take documentation. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much. Once again, I will say a round of applause for our material for today. And thank you so much to Ahmad Mushadat as our translator for today. So that is the series of our Kajian Islam International for today. Thank you so much to the speaker and our translator and all of the participants that has joined in our Kajian Islam International that was held by Mahasiswa Masjid Al-Asmi Universitas Airlangga. For the end, let our reciting doa kafaratul majlis together. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu alla ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Thank you so much for your participation for today. We apologize if there is lacking, mistake, and error of our word and performance that is not pleasing to the heart. Thank you and good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Miss Paula.
Thank you, ma'am.
See you in Italy.
هذا القرآن يواهدنا لطريق الخير يؤذبنا الله تعالى أنزله ورسول الله معلمنا رسول الله رسول الله معلمنا رسول الله